Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the epic Doctor Who 60th anniversary celebration. If you're new to the channel, I usually do books, but these next 154, 155 days will be not books. That makes sense. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. I need it. And I think I should dive more into what this series is all about. Doctor Who is my favorite television series. It's been that way for a few years now, and it's split into two runs. The first run is referred to as Classic Doctor Who, and it ran from 1963 to 1989. It tells a story. It tells its stories or episodes, whatever you want to call them, in like multi-episode arcs, which allows the stories to kind of breathe more, as a which is actually opposed to the new series run, which basically just blows through everything in either a one-part 45-minute episode or two parts 90 minutes, or the occasional three-parter. All of season 13 was a six-parter, but you see my point. Overall, it's more episodic in terms of structure, how the season is structured. And let's dive into the first episode of Classic Doctor Who. An Unearthly Child. An Unearthly Child is great and it's iconic, right? Well, the first episode is. The other three episodes lead to a disappointing kind of weird caveman arc where everyone's acting a little bit out of character. But the first episode does a great job of introducing the first Doctor, his granddaughter Susan, and Susan's two school teachers, Barbara Wright and Ian Chesterton. Chesterton. Sorry. Ian Chesterton and Ian Wright. Barbara Wright and Ian Chesterton. I can never get those names right. They become the Doctor's first ever companions after they were kidnapped onto his police box shaped time machine. How fun. The first episode is gripping, it's mysterious, and its black and white kind of storytelling format actually contributes to that because, lighting isn't very great, and it contributes to kind of the junkyard setting that it opens up in. And when they're kidnapped onto the TARDIS, which is basically the Doctor's time machine, stands for time and relative dimension in space, they are sent back to 100,000 BC, if I remember that correctly, where we're led to a disappointing caveman kind of story where everyone speaks weird broken Shakespearean English for some reason. It's so weird. It's so weird. And also all the characters are really everyone's kind of a bit on edge, but it gets really grating at times. They're gonna be it gets really grating at times. Susan screams a lot, a lot, which I guess is understandable because she's 16 years old, but it's still really annoying. It's so annoying. Anyway, Ian is definitely portrayed as a more kind of a hero type. He's saving everyone, rescuing people, that kind of thing. Barbara is a bit more assertive. She's trying to help him out, but it's still the kind of the sexist sort of 1960s gender role kind of thing in action. And the Doctor, however, is portrayed in a very antagonistic light, which is of course very, very different from how we know him in the rest of the classic run and the new series. But what I really appreciate about Doctor Who as a whole is that it shows his character progression and how it's actually because of Ian and Barbara that sort of influenced him to be more human or more human-like, which I really liked. Let me see if I can miss anything else. Nope. That's it for An Unearthly Child. Now this episode is going to be a double feature, and I'm actually going to jump right on into the second ever story, which is called The Daleks. The Daleks is the Daleks is the second story. It ran for 7 entire episodes. And so you can imagine how kind of bloated it was. It really was very bloated. So a lot of the episodes were actually just not necessary. They had no overall bearing on the whole story or its implications. which I found kind of strange and irritating because each episode is 25 minutes. So it's a significant amount of time I've been wasting trying to sort of, follow what's going on, even though it's really not important, or it's usually just not enjoyable. Barbara, she's a lot more assertive in this story, and Ian sort of still kind of keeps himself as a more, how do I describe this? Ian kind of keeps himself. He's still more of a rescuer kind of guy, like macho, super strong kind of character. Uh, if I remember this correctly, let me know if someone in the comments tell me if I have this wrong. But I think the Doctor is portrayed more like nicer, or like less antagonistic, at least compared to the first episode. And we see the more scientific side of himself. He goes onto a dangerous radiation kind of planet purely because he was curious and wanted to check it out. And that's where he meets the most iconic villains of all time, the pepper pot shaped Daleks. You may not, I know basically no one of my subscribers watches Doctor Who, but I'm sure if I tell you this one word, you will understand. Exterminate! I'm sorry, that was weird, but that's like their main catchphrase. It's very annoying, and that is what they sound like. But still, they are like Doctor Who's most iconic villains of all time, and which in this story does do them justice. I guess relative to the style of Doctor Who at the time, other than those flaws I mentioned about the pacing and how some episodes were not necessary at all. And that's it. This was a very short video, but to be honest, these stories are kind of light, and especially these earlier kind of videos are going to be very short and light because that's how the stories were written. And the next episode is actually going to be a two-parter. See, 2 parts of 25 minutes. That's like one new Doctor Who episode. So you can imagine how kind of short or, bare bones the next episode's going to be, or even how this first season of episodes is going to be. If you enjoyed this, be sure to leave a like button. It does help me immensely. And leave a comment. Let me know how. Give me some feedback, or whether you guys like Doctor Who. Thank you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.